Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live that we're doing today with Dr. Karp, the founder of the Snoo, the creator of the Snoo, which is incredible to help babies sleep. And we're going to talk to him today and discuss some of our issues, my issues especially, with getting my kids to sleep. And we're also doing a giveaway, $500 bump from Bumpsuit and $500 from Happiest Baby. So we're excited to be joining today. And he's coming on right now. Hi, Dr. Karp.
Hi, Nicole. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks so
You
much
are
for
the
having
man,
me on.
you are the man that all of us parents really want to talk to and really want to know. And we're so excited to hear. We're going to ask the audience some questions today and get some feedback from you. But you are an author of some of the most popular books on the market for helping babies sleep and toddlers as well. And you are the creator of the Snoo, which is a very unique product on the market, and it basically rocks your baby to sleep and helps to train your baby to go to sleep.
Exactly. And it also secures the baby on the back so the baby cannot roll to an unsafe position. So it's the safest baby bed as well. So yeah, we're very, very pleased to
Yeah,
have that out there helping
it
families.
has like a built-in swaddle. Is that right? And so
Right. It's
you just,
got sorry?
yeah, will you run us through how it works?
Sure. So Snoo is based on, you're so kind to mention my book. So I wrote a book called The Happiest Baby on the Block many, many years ago. And it talks about something I mean, it sounds so surprising that we would learn anything new about babies because we've been around babies for thousands of years. But everyone was saying that, babies, some babies just don't sleep and some babies cry and there's nothing you can do about it. And at the same time we were saying that, we would say, if your baby is fussy or if your baby's not sleeping, take them for a car ride. And if you drove your baby all night in the car, they would sleep an extra hour or two. So we were wrong. It wasn't that we couldn't help babies, we just didn't have the right tool to help babies.
Got
And the
you.
idea that babies should sleep in a quiet, flat bed on their backs, of course, on the back is the right position, but a still quiet bed is actually weird for babies. They want to sleep on us being rocked and held,
Absolutely.
and that's what babies love. And so based on these ideas, we created Snoo, which is it's a baby bed, and it's really not even a baby bed. We think of it as your older sister. It's a caregiver. It is an assistant babysitter, because what it does is it rocks and shushes babies all throughout the night, like as if you're holding them. But then if the baby gets upset, it responds with a little bit more bouncing and louder shushing to comfort the
Wow.
baby. Yeah,
Wow.
and so oftentimes just within 30 seconds it'll calm the baby back down. And if it doesn't calm the baby, it means within a minute or so, it means the baby's hungry or needs you, needs a diaper change or nappy change or something like that.
Yeah, because I've had three babies myself, and then, the first two, you kind of well, the first one you experiment a lot. And my last one, I just wanted to baby wear my baby all the time because it's just the baby's so happy, sleeps. You could do all of your laundry and clean your entire house baby wearing the baby. So this is basically using that same concept of like being, as you said, on the body, but it's like hiring an extra
Right.
version of you to help. I didn't know it even shushed the baby too. That's so incredible.
Yeah, it
And
does
so
that as well.
you
And
basically came up with this concept from like listening to all these theories that you've learned over the years, and you invented this
oh yeah, I mean,
incredible.
I was a pediatrician practicing like down the block from you, for 30 years in Los Angeles. And I would do these techniques with my babies, and parents were responding, the babies were responding so well. But we really started, my wife and I came out of retirement to make Snoo because even though we were teaching the 5 S's and how to calm babies and whatnot, babies were still dying. In the US, at least 3,500 babies die every year in their sleep, and mothers were getting depressed, and babies were getting abused, and And basically, it's really hard because no one, and this surprises people, you're not supposed to be taking care of a baby by yourself or with your
Yeah.
spouse. If you have a nanny, you're well off, but you should have 5 nannies. You should have your grandma, your aunt, your older sister, and that's how families are. And so many people are juggling all these balls and then feeling bad about themselves that they're not doing a good enough job at it. And really, they should be patting themselves on the back that they're doing an amazing job. And you know, I don't know, what is your help with your 3 kids? You have someone?
Yeah, well, I absolutely agree with you. I think that it takes a village, but really, like, I think primarily we would be in communities with our families, and that would be everyone helping with the baby. And
Exactly.
nowadays we seem so isolated. I mean, especially with COVID, we weren't able to have help, you know, because of COVID for so
Right.
long. But we do have a nanny, thank God, and I have a full-time job. But you know,
And just taking care of your kids is a full-time job. So you have 2 full-time jobs.
I have a lot going on. So we definitely need help. But I have none of my family over here. They're all in Australia. So, you know, it's amazing. Like, investing in something like the SNU is like having an extra couple of people in your family, you know.
That's the goal. And you know what's so much fun about it? You know that feeling when you're driving on the highway and there are 4 lanes of traffic and 3 of them aren't moving, but your lane is going at 40 miles an hour. And even though you would rather go at 60 miles an hour, you're so happy that you picked the one lane that's actually moving. And that's how people feel when they use SNU. They wake up in the morning, they look at their telephone, which has a little sleep record for them, and they go, honey, did you know the baby woke up twice last night? I didn't even hear it because the bed responded automatically to the baby. And then you have all the energy you need for taking care of the baby and doing everything you need to do during the day.
Yes. And it's such a busy life being a mom. And that's, you know, that's really why we wanted to talk to you, because our community of women, we really want to support them and help them on their journey. And we really want to bring products that we believe will support their journey. And it is really hard having a newborn, especially one that struggles with sleep. That's been my most frustrating moments where I kind of lost my cool, is when my kids, they wouldn't go to sleep. And when you're so pushed beyond the point of no return, I would wake up 3 times a night.
It's
my husband,
torture.
He's away, so I didn't have him to help, and I didn't have ever a night nurse or ever a nanny at night. I didn't want anyone touching my baby but me. So, like, in that situation, and I know a lot of mums are like that, they're very protective.
Sure.
In that situation, having the SNU, and you know, you could also co-sleep with the SNU right by your bed.
Exactly.
Really,
you know, Nicole, that they use sleep deprivation and the sound of crying babies over loudspeakers to train the military special forces to endure torture. That's how hard it is to go through that night after night.
Yeah, and it's so crazy. Yeah, it's really interesting to hear, because, you know, there's so many methods out there, like cry it out, and, you know, and I really support whatever people are using. But there's also easier ways to do things where mom's happy and baby's happy, and you've really given us a tool for that.
But it's not just sleep, mind you. I mean, number one, babies, sleep is a bumpy road. They get better, then they go through a growth spurt, or they go through a sleep regression.
Absolutely.
What's nice about SNU is that if they start waking up in the middle of the night, they're still being rocked and shushed. And so they tend to get through these sleep disruptions much faster. And then by 6 months, their brains are mature enough that we can wean them off of it, usually within 3 or 4 days. So they're not dependent on it. It's actually quite easy to wean at that point in time. But it isn't just about sleep. It's about infant safety as well. Because after 2 months, you know, we tell parents to stop swaddling babies, and then they start waking themselves up again. And then you accidentally fall asleep with the baby in bed with you. And half of the deaths occur in bed with a parent, which is a terrible, a terrible, tragic situation. And half of them occur when the baby just rolls to the stomach accidentally in the middle of the night. So we're super excited that the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, has designated SNU a breakthrough device. I mean, 100 hospitals are using SNU with newborn babies. The Smithsonian Institution of the United States has has taken Snoo as part of their permanent collection as an iconic
Amazing.
invention. So it's really been
Wow.
exciting to get this out there for folks.
That's incredible. Congratulations. That's really
And I
awesome.
should say we not only do we rent them for really about the cost of a Starbucks coffee, so we want to make this available to everybody, so parents can get it at a very low fee, and they only have to rent it a minimum of a month or 2 months, whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And many people get it for free because over 60 employers now provide it as a benefit. So parents can ask
Wow.
their employer to contact us so that they can get it for free as well.
That's incredible. That's incredible. What about like if you have the snoo and you go away for a week? What do you, is the baby, what happens in that situation? Do you have to modify? Is there anything that you recommend people do when they're traveling for a weekend or staying at someone else's house? I'm sure it's pretty light to travel with as well, but
It weighs about a little bit more than 30 pounds. So you can put it in the boot of your car, the trunk of your car, or you can carry it with you or ship it by air. In general, pediatricians recommend that people don't do much traveling in the first 3 months, just because babies are fragile, and if they get sick and you're away from home, it's kind of the worst
hmm.
situation to be in.
Yeah.
But if you do have to travel, you can still use white noise, and we have the snoo noise is pretty special, but you can use general white noise as well, or white noise machine, and swaddling babies at least until they're 2 or 3 months. When they're starting to roll over, you can safely swaddle babies. So
Hmm.
hopefully one day in the future, snooze will be in hotels and things like that, so people can
I'm
travel
sure they
easily.
will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or is there a like a travel snoo in the works?
Right now, it's really just this one. It's a pretty complicated piece of machinery.
Yeah.
It's complex. It's a computer after all that has built in this recognition and kind of really imitation of an experienced caregiver. But that's again why what we like to say is, you can have a 24-hour caregiver for the cost of a side of guacamole. I mean, it's really pretty, people think it's so expensive, but actually, if you were to hire a 16-year-old teenager just
Hmm.
to hold your baby 1 hour a day while you cook dinner or played with your toddler or took a shower or whatever, you
Yeah.
pay $20 for that. So
Yeah.
to rent a snoo for well under $5 a day is actually, I mean, it's really we think of it at least as a really good value for parents to be able to have that support.
Absolutely. And I think nowadays there's so many ways to like resell goods. So, you only use certain things for a short period of time, and there's like Facebook Marketplace and Poshmark or different ways that you can sell those goods to your communities as well.
People,
And people would
yeah,
be buying for a secondhand one if they can't afford a new one.
people definitely do that. We don't recommend that so much because
Okay.
of infection spread, and also if you buy a used one, it doesn't have warranty. So if it breaks on you, you've really lost everything. It's
Hmm.
really about the same price to rent it, and
Got
so
you.
you can get it
Right.
sent to you. You send it back if you want to use it 2 months or 4 months or 6 months. You have the choice, and you can just send it back. Um, so that's what we recommend to people. But yes, you're right.
Yeah.
People do have a secondary market as well.
And also to help our community, we're doing a giveaway that's launching today. So Snoo's giving a $500 voucher to buy products, the Snoo, which is basically half of it. And Bumpsuit is giving a $500 voucher for shapewear, postpartum shapewear, bumpsuits, maternity wear.
Fantastic.
And so we're offering that today to all of our followers, especially if you're on the live. You have a little leg up in winning that giveaway. And yeah, we're really excited to be sharing these amazing products with our community, mamas to be, you know, on this journey to expanding their families, which is such a beautiful time. And we really want to support our community with that. So we're really excited to be talking to you. And I wanted to reach out to the people on the live if you guys have any questions as well. Someone just said going through a 4 month sleep regression. Without the snoo, we would be zombies. That's me.
Oh, that's so great to hear.
The snoo bear. What's the snoo bear?
So Snoo Bear is a cuddly little teddy bear that has the sounds of Snoo.
Got you.
It plays for an hour. It doesn't play all night long, but it's great for carrying putting in the car, in the stroller when you're traveling with your baby, because the babies get used to those specific sounds, and when they hear it, they go, "Oh yeah, that reminds me of when I'm happy," and so
Right.
it can be very, very effective.
Yeah, so that is kind of like a little travel trick. It's like
Hmm.
if they have a part of it, then it helps them soothe. Someone said they're concerned that you can't put inside a heart monitor, which alerts you if your baby is not breathing. What about SIDS with Snoo?
Yeah, so there are different ways you can monitor babies. The good thing about SNU is that it reduces the risk of,
Hmm.
of babies stopping breathing. In our studies so far, we've seen about a 95% reduction in the risk of SIDS. But I believe you can actually use some of the monitors as well if you want to do that too.
Yeah, amazing. I mean,
Now, how many kids? You say 3 kids. How old are your kids
I
now?
have three, so 1.5, 3.5, and 6.5. And for my first, I didn't have a snoo, and I still feel like he has trouble sleeping. He he just wants to be with me, basically.
Hmm.
My youngest, we sleep trained her earlier, and she's more independent sleeping. Um, and then the baby, yeah. So it's just my first one, and I feel like he still has trouble sleeping. He's 6.5 now.
Yeah, well, you're right in that you do set patterns. Of course, they go through
Hmm.
many changes, through the years, but you do set patterns. I have a book called The Happiest Baby Guide to Great Sleep that
Hmm.
talks about issues over the first 5 years. So there are a lot of other tricks and tips that can
Yeah,
help babies once they get outside of the first 6 months of life. But did you ever hear of The Happiest Toddler on the Block?
I have, yes, and I've read it. It's amazing.
Oh, fantastic.
With my son now, he was quite difficult for some reason. I think maybe it was just because I was experimenting and I tried so many things, but um, like now I noticed the thing that really helps him go to sleep is just music, really calm music,
Hmm.
which
Now,
we
interesting.
have
It's
like,
interesting because music can
yeah.
help. Lullabies are great,
Mm-hmm.
but not to play all night long. But the thing
Mm-hmm.
of it is, this is kind of a trick question. People would ask, at what age can a baby sleep through the night? And
Mm-hmm.
some people say 3 months or 6 months or whatever. And the answer actually is never. Babies never sleep through the night, children never sleep through the night, and adults never sleep through the night. We all wake up 2 or 3 times, but you don't remember it if everything is normal. So you wake up, but if you smell smoke or there's someone scratching at your window, you're going to wake up all the way. And so with children, when they get into light sleep in the middle of the night, if the white noise is playing,
Mm.
that's almost like a teddy bear of sound. They hear it, they're reassured by it, and it helps them not pop awake.
Got
And
you.
so, sound, just like we use a pillow all
Mm-hmm.
night long or a
Mm-hmm.
blanket all night long, for a lot of children, white noise is a help all night long to help them stay asleep. And of course, even a lot of adults use white noise. That's different than the effect of music.
Yeah, right. So what I am playing right now is not music, but it's just sounds,
Hmm.
relaxing sounds for my older kids. For my baby, it's the white noise, yeah.
Yeah.
My
So,
oldest, he's a tricky one. We might need you to come visit.
well, listen, on the website, there's a technique called Twinkle Interruptus, which helps kids stay in their room without having to go through crying it out. I mean, you can sleep train, and a lot of people have you do cried out routines, which is fine. I'm not opposed to that. And for some kids, it's absolutely necessary. But
Yeah,
usually we can finesse our way around it without having to just close the door and abandon them to cry. And same thing for toddlers. And there are little tricky ways of,
they are.
doing that. And we have a lot of this information on our website, which is happiestbaby.com.
Yeah, I find like my son, he's very, very intelligent. He's already kind of past beyond, he's like 99% up. But he he won't even cry or he won't make a fuss. He's very tricky. Like he'll be like, I'm hungry, or he'll be like, I wanted to know where you put this, or
Mhm.
really need, like he'll make up excuses and he'll keep coming down. They're quite valid, and he's very he's very interesting to talk to. So you get stuck in his little, you know.
Sure.
I think it's more for him. It's more like I think he's scared of
Hmm.
being alone, or
Well,
even
listen, who
being
wants
with
to be alone?
my daughter. Like my daughter and my son, they share a room, and now
Mhm.
she's like, I'm scared monsters are gonna come and eat me. I'm like, what? Where are you getting this from? So that's
Her older brother.
yeah, exactly, and it's so interesting. So I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate that. Because I remember when I was younger, I was scared of monsters too. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just like,
that's a
where
normal.
do they come into our consciousness, you know?
Well, you know what happens is that a four up to four, it's they're happy-go-lucky, they're smiley, everything. I mean, they have their dislikes, of course, but after the age of really five and above, they're
Mm,
starting to listen to conversations, listen to the news. They see that there are bad men. Is he a bad man? Is he a good man? And they
right.
recognize that there are dangers, and suddenly they realize that they're only little kids. And so it's quite common that fears come up and issues of concerns in the middle of the night. That's not unusual. And there are lots of things you can do to help them. Having a teddy bear, having a special scarf that you give them to hold on to at night. When you're worried, smell this, see, it smells like mommy, and you can have it with you all night. We sometimes have people make bottles of special water that we call monster spray, and you spray it, when they go to bed at night to make sure that the monsters don't come.
Yeah.
You can, one of the things we do is there's something called patient stretching, which is a technique in the happiest toddler, where you teach children to be more patient. And basically, the way you do that is when they want something from you, you almost give it to them. Like, mommy, I want the biscuit or the cracker. And you go to give it to them at the last second. You say, oh, wait, 1 second, honey, hold on, just 1 second. And you make them wait 3 or 4 seconds, and pretend you're doing something else. And then you give it to them. And then you teach them to wait 10 seconds and 20 and 30 seconds. And what
Yeah.
happens is they learn that when mommy says, wait, she'll always give me the thing. I just have to start to be patient. So once you teach them that, and you do that 5 times a day, every day for a week or two, then at night you start to do that. So when they call for you, you come in, you snuggle with them, you read them stories or sing songs, and then suddenly you go, oh, wait, 1 second, I just have to see daddy, 1 second, or I just have to go across the room. If they won't even let you out of the room, just go across the room. And then after 10 seconds, you snuggle up with them. And then a minute or two later, you do it again and you go out for 20 seconds. And after 2 or 3 days, you build it up to being out for a minute or two with the white noise playing. The white noise helps. And
Yeah.
you say, here, hold on to your teddy bear. Mommy's going to be right back. And usually within 2 or 3 minutes of you being out, they just fall asleep waiting for you. And you can finesse your way by without having to do a cry it out routine.
That's what I did. I definitely followed that method. And but yeah, as I said, my son is very smart. This
Yes, he figures it out.
got onto it. It did work. It worked for a couple of years. It did work for a really long time, but he caught onto it. So now I just, he's old enough now to say, I respect you and I love you. And I say, I need you to respect me. And I know that you love me. If somebody is disrespecting you, I don't want you to be around them. And so I really expect you not to disrespect me. And I lay that law down. I don't
That's
want
so smart.
I don't want my children to be around people that disrespect them. And so I'm kind of instilling this lesson in them. This is just, I always kind of, evolve and have new lessons at new times. But
Yeah.
for some reason, this is something, and it just came up for me. Nobody taught me this when I was younger, but I don't really treat my kids like they're little kids. I do, but like when it comes time to like intellectualize things, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you know, if you're not going to respect me, I'm not going to want to be around you because I don't like being around people that don't respect me. And I would
Sure.
expect you to do the same. And if I'm disrespecting you, I would expect you not to be around me.
Sure.
And with
You know,
everybody in my life. And
two
so,
important points that you bring up, I think, Nicole. One is
yeah.
when children do develop fears and
Mm-hmm.
anxieties, we have to give them some space to talk about their lives because sometimes that's a sign that someone is disrespecting them or not
That's
treating
true.
them well. And they're, you wouldn't know about it unless you invite that conversation. So that's a pretty important thing to do. But the other
Absolutely.
thing is that with kids, like a smart 6-year-old, a lot of times you can create, you can negotiate with them. And you can say, for example, what I like to use poker chips with kids a lot, especially 6-year-old boys, it's a perfect age to do that. And say, I'm going to give you this poker chip at night, and then you have a choice. If you want to come in and see me, that's okay, and you just pay me the poker chip. Or if you have the poker chip in the morning, then you'll get a star on the chart, or you'll hold on to that, and when you get 5 poker chips, you can cash it in for
Yeah,
going for an ice cream or doing this together or whatever you think your child would enjoy doing.
absolutely.
And that
And
gives
that,
them an incentive to kind of respect
absolutely.
you and follow the program.
And yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. So we've been talking about that, and then that's what we talk about is like my kids, I always give them like some kind of validation or a treat or a reward for, you know, they always ask me for stuff.
Right.
And so we talk about it, and I'm like, you know, if I feel respected and we're talking about this thing at the end of the week, and do you still want that? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, okay, well, how about we just like calm down and go to sleep, and then we can get on our path to getting that thing that you want, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it really
What's nice
worked.
at
Like straight
that
away,
age,
it's the only thing that just like he's like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep.
but that you know, listen, we all work with incentives, right? I mean,
Totally.
and so that encourages them. But I do think every day you want to put a mark on a paper or a star or a sticker. Kids are
Yeah.
very physical. They don't a week is like forever for them. And
Got
so
you.
they can look at this chart and see, oh, I did well that day and that day and that day. And
Yeah.
it reinforces the process because it's hard for them to remember sometime from day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. That is a good note too. Man, they're so intricate, aren't they? So complex.
Well, you know something, what's really interesting, I think, is that parents are raising children today with almost no experience. I
Hmm.
mean, I joke with parents sometimes and I say, please spend 5 hours less watching Game of Thrones and just spend 5 hours reading a book about toddlers. Because you know it is when you're having a baby, you'll buy like 10 books about babies. And not that you read them,
Definitely.
but you buy a lot of them. And then
Yeah.
people never buy another book the rest of their kid's life. Like there's nothing to learn. But there's so much to learn about kids. When I say toddlers, I mean starting at 7 or 8 months of age. And
Absolutely.
so people need to, if they haven't had a lot of experience taking care of young children, just because you're smart doesn't mean you know how to wrangle a toddler. And
Hmm.
so it helps to read a toddler book and learn some tips and tricks.
Absolutely. Do you also podcasts I've noticed have been really helpful. Do you
Mhm.
have your own podcast, Dr. Carl?
I don't, but we have tons of information on the
On the
website.
website. Amazing.
So we have videos and articles and blogs and things like that to help parents.
Yeah, so even just going on the website and reading about that is great.
Mhm. Yeah,
The
it's all
most
free.
recent book that I read that I really enjoyed was by Esther Wojcicki. Um, now what's the book called? How to Raise Successful People.
Hmm.
It was
I
really
haven't read
good.
it.
Like I'm super into kids books, parenting books, relationship books, like all that stuff. And yeah, like yeah, that
It's
was a good
so
one.
important. I'm so glad you're doing that. If I could
Hmm.
give one tip, people sometimes ask me, what's the biggest thing I would like to encourage parents about toddlers? And there's something really interesting. It used to be when a toddler was misbehaving or upset and tantruming or something like
Hmm.
that, people would say, you know, it's okay to hit them. You know, spare the rod, spoil the child. That was something that people used to be encouraged. If you didn't hit your child, you weren't being a good parent. Obviously, we know that's not right today.
Yeah.
That was replaced by people verbally abusing children. You know, shut up or I'll really give you a reason to cry or things like that. And fortunately, that's disappearing as well. But what parents are taught today very often is to acknowledge their child's feelings. Sweetheart, I know you're upset, but you have to listen to mommy. We have to do X, Y, and Z. Sounds very reasonable, very respectful, but it is actually very, very upsetting for a young child to be spoken to in that way. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that when you're talking to someone who's upset, the words you say don't matter as much as the way you say the words. If you were crying and upset and I said to you, Nicole, that is very upsetting. I can understand why you are so sad. I too would be, you know, I mean, that, even though the words are right, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I have to dance with you. And if your level of upset is here, I shouldn't be as upset as you are. Oh no, that's the worst. You know, I should be kind of 30% of your feelings. So you see, I get it, but I'm not pulling the attention away from you. So when it comes to a young child, their feelings are up here. So when there's a technique in the toddler book called toddlerese, which is short phrases, repetition, and mirroring a third of their emotion. So when your child is upset and they want to go outside, but it's raining, and rather than saying, honey, I know you want to go outside, but it's raining, you'll get all wet. Maybe you'll end up there. But in the beginning, when they're upset and they want to go outside, you might say, outside, outside, you want to go outside. You say outside now. I mean, like that's for a 1 or a 2-year-old. And then they look at you and go, ah, and then you go, but no, outside. Now, it sounds like baby talk, but once they're calm, you can use your normal adult language. But when they're upset, your language is too complicated for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I that's interesting because I like with my kids, like if they wanna, they're like, oh, I wanna go outside. I'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, but whoa, it's rain. Like use that kind of enthusiastic thing, or like if they do something bad, like really bad, like wrong, if they like hit or if they say something, I'll go instead of being like, no, don't say that, like, or whatever, I just go and they go and I'm like,
right.
oh my gosh.
And you're giving nonverbal language through your tone of voice, through the look on your face.
I'm like, did you just hit, like my little 1-year-old, she doesn't know, she thinks it's funny, and so I'm like, right. Did you hit Zion? I'm like, oh no, we gotta give him a cuddle. Say, right. Sorry, Zion. And she's like, yeah, sorry, Zion. She gives him a cuddle. And I'm like, and now
that's a great technique, except when they're really angry, mad, frustrated, when they have real negative feelings.
Doesn't work for that.
No, then you have to respectfully acknowledge, but using toddlerese, like you're mad, you don't like it, and you're not even looking at me right now. Your face is sad, and your body is sad, and you are mad, and you want that toy. You don't want Zion to use the toy.
Yeah, right.
You know, 5, 6, 7, 8 sentences. So she really gets that you care, you respect her feelings. You're not allowing her to get away with it. Yeah. But you are showing her that her feelings are important to you and that you're respectful, but then you're not going to allow her to do the misbehavior.
Interesting. So me, like, because I feel like I'm diverting her when I'm like, because she totally forgets what she's doing and she's like, what happened over there? And I do that with my kids, even the older ones. If something happens, I'm like, and then I kind of make light of it. I feel like that just, I don't know if it maybe, I've never.
No, it's a good tool. And distraction is a good tool, but not when people have sincere, real negative feelings. I mean, if a child is upset and you go, hey, look at the paper, and they're going, I'm upset, it doesn't feel respectful of their feelings. If they're, just messing around and you know that they're just trying to get your attention, then you can do distraction or do the overacting or that kind of a thing. So, they're tools that we use, but you do And you know what's the good thing about children is if you're doing the wrong thing, they'll let you know. If you're not being effectively listening, they're going to continue being upset. And then you go, oh, maybe I didn't do it right. And then you can kind of change the way you're doing it.
Totally. I feel like a big mistake that I've made, like I feel like my kids are very happy. They rarely get angry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very lucky. But one thing that I did make a mistake with my son is like he would get really angry at me, and I'm super chill parent, and so I would laugh because he was so angry and
Yes.
Mommy, you put my shorts in the wrong spot, or I can't find them. Sorry, like I
It
just
was charming, yeah.
so serious about it, and he would get really, it would really hurt him that I would be laughing.
Yeah.
He'd be like, "Why are you laughing at me?" And I'm like, I'm so, but then that would make me laugh even more, and I still feel guilt about that because I feel like you know, we're humans are vulnerable, and there's these moments they can really change the path
Sure.
of lives,
You're
like
right.
relate to people, how we kind of deal with situations. And I feel like that was a big mistake on my part because, um,
No, 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 no. It wasn't a big mistake. It's just normal. You're just a human being. And in fact, you always try to take the lemons and turn it into lemonade. And so, you know, you bite your lip and you go, you don't want me to, I'm so sorry I'm laughing. I'm really, really sorry. I know you're upset. So you use your acknowledging his feelings with some energy in your voice. And then you know what? You come back at night when you're
yeah,
cuddled up in bed and you said, remember when you were upset with me and I laughed? I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I didn't mean to laugh. And then you can kind of make up for it. And actually,
totally.
believe it or not, if you have, it's okay to have to kind of butt heads sometimes. That's not the problem. That's living a human life. But you want to be able to come back later and say, you know what, I know that you weren't happy about that. I apologize. And they
Yeah.
learn a big lesson when you do that, how to apologize themselves.
You know what? I actually do that with my son now. I say, "Do you remember when you were angry?" He's like, "When I was 2, when I was 3." He remembers.
Wow. Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, yeah. And then I explain it to him why. I say, well, it's because I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I'm a human being like you, and I'm trying to be a good parent. And I thought that if I laughed, you would laugh with me. And then when I saw you taking it seriously and you were really hurt by it, I felt like really vulnerable myself and like I was making a mistake. And I didn't want to show that I was weak. So I kept laughing. And
Right.
that's mommy's mistake. Like that was wrong of me to do, and I shouldn't have done that. And the right thing to do would be to acknowledge your feelings and
Right.
respect. I'm really sorry that I disrespected you. And he's
I
like,
think that's I
oh,
think that's right. But if I were to make a suggestion,
yeah,
it's when you're doing that,
mm,
his feelings are more important. So spend 3 times more sentences talking about how he felt and inviting him to say how he felt than your explanation. I know you want to make amends and you want to tell
yeah.
him, you know, that you know you're bad and why it happened. But a much shorter explanation, you know, mommy made a mistake and I'm so sorry. How was that for you? And shorten your part and expand his part when he gets to talk about his feelings,
So
I think.
how does that make you feel? And he would say, that made me feel really upset. And then could you say like how would you like mommy to support you in future, or in future I'll make sure that I support you and your emotions, or how do you go from there
You
when
know what? I think it's hard for kids sometimes to answer those questions. Obviously, he's a very smart boy, so maybe he can answer that. More
Mhm.
times than not, what's really good to do in that situation is say, you know what? I remember when I was little and
Yeah.
someone did this to me and I didn't like it. Did you ever have a situation like that? Or do you ever feel like that? And you invite the, you know, the broader conversation. And the things they share are so amazing. Well,
Mm.
in school yesterday, Bobby did this and this and this, and it really gives them an open door to kind of share their inner feelings.
The more we are transparent with our kids and really give them a safe space to
Yeah,
talk to you,
yeah,
it's the conversations become so interesting. Like I remember when I was growing up, you know, it was a different generation and a different time, and I was raised by very strict Italian parents, and it's like you're the kid and you don't
yeah. Yeah, I know people have that attitude.
And
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk. It's been such a pleasure getting to meet
thank
you
you
and
for
have
all
this
of your
conversation.
amazing
You sound like a
advice.
fantastic mom. I'm really impressed.
I'm open to growth, but thank you so much for your advice, and to everyone watching and listening. We have this giveaway this week with Snoo, Happiest Baby, $500 voucher, $500 voucher for Bump Suit, and we're just happy to support our communities and, yeah, introduce you guys to new products or educate you more on the products you love.
Good
So
on you,
thank you so
Nicole.
much. I really appreciate it. Nice chatting.
Good day.
Good day.